Just a Few Small Breaths by Giovanni J Sagan. It was a quiet autumn day, not yet spring, but the temperature still felt nippy. Here, there was a man named Zeke who was debating how he would spend the day as he looked outside. He saw the weather turning as the clouds began to darken, swelling as if they would burst. So Zeke began to ponder, and this was his internal monologue. As I walked out of the house, I could feel the rain, the breeze dancing to and fro, strong and cool. I could sense the pattern of the raindrops hitting my jacket. Zeke began to stroll along the porch and guardrails outside of his house in his pajamas. He said to himself while looking off into the distance, "It feels as though I'm getting nowhere in life, and this walk would just be a way to feel something. But what is that something? It's a question I've been asking myself over and over again, many times in fact, in these past weeks." So he continued to wander in thought, like he always would. Throughout his life, Zeke had spent most of his time toiling away at work without enjoying the little things. The only thing that he would be on his mind was work and the clickety-clack of his computer keyboard. He would call it the sound of progress and arthritis. Was today any different for him? Probably not, but there was something different, though he just couldn't put his finger on it. Despite innocently hesitating because he didn't want to deal with the rain, his conscience urged him to go outside, reminding him that he might miss something special if he didn't. Come on, there's a whole world outside. You just need to grasp it seemed to say. In his heart, he knew he needed to go outside, but why not sleep in? Some of his best sleeps come during the sound of rain. A truly tempting thought, but his conscience argued with him over the proposition, saying he could do it another day. Why not today, he protested, but deep down somewhere, he understood that putting it off would only lead to procrastination, neither progress or relaxation, only waste. What should I do? Zeke mumbled to himself, looking outwards into the distance before heading back inside, back to his bed, mulling over a myriad of thought. "You know what you should do," said his conscience. "Maybe I do need that break as I'm hearing things, but so what? I can do this another day. I'm tired and it's not like I can't walk any other time since." "You need to do it now," retorted his conscience. "So what? I've got other things to do," yawned Zeke. "Things that are not important," his conscience replied. "And so what? I'm already back in my bed," said Zeke as he started to close his eyes. But as he did, the feeling grew stronger that he shouldn't. Remember that no one's promised tomorrow. Each day is different, whether or not you acknowledge it. Whether you pretend otherwise, live in the moment when it presents itself, said his conscience. "Fine. All right. You sound like my father with all that nagging." He thought about how he could dupe his conscience, but feeling was too strong. He got up, went to his room, put on his clothes, and then headed outside. It was raining. He checked his phone to confirm whether it would continue, and the weather forecast foretold that it would continue to rain for another 4 hours. "That's just my luck," he said sarcastically. "I could wait and go after the 4 hours," he said to himself, but his conscience argued against him. "Who are you trying to fool? Go now. Don't wait. Go right now," urged his conscience. Okay, slow down," he replied. "Let me go back in and find what I need first. I gotta make sure that if I'm running into anything, I'll be ready." He searched and found what he was looking for, his earphones, wallet, and keys. He didn't bother with an umbrella, as he felt too lazy to go search for one. Finally, he stepped outside onto the front porch and then went. As he went out, he took a breath and looked around for a bit. It was then that a refreshing sensation filled his lungs as the April breeze hit him, though it was a bit chilly. With his eyes open before the feeling of turning around could come back, he decided to be on his way, and as he walked, he started to become more conscious of his emotions. Feeling good, he strolled along the bustling streets, unfazed by the cars rushing by and people walking in groups of 3 or 2. This journey was new to him, having just arrived in the area a few months ago and had yet to explore it fully. He knew he should have taken the time to get accustomed to the place, but he was always busy, both in mind, body, and spirit, never knowing rest in any of them, though some would disagree. He worked in silence and alone, where no one could see him when he was not at work. But as he walked, he thought he would eventually know the area like the back of his hand anyway, so there wasn't much to worry about. That was his thought process. Though, deep underneath, he didn't care for the place or those here. In a year or two, I'll be off somewhere new. No friends, no family, alone. That is the tune, he said, looking down, not noticing his frown and scowl he made. But he continued on soon. It's all just another breath, just another stop in life. But he never told anyone that. However, today felt different. As he walked, he noticed there weren't many people on the streets. Then again, in suburbs like here, he rarely saw people walking about like in the city. Who would? Since in suburbs you need a car for practically everything. But the ones he did see were nice, saying hello there, good evening and such. But it would be nice to see more people though. In the end, he didn't mind the solitude. With another breath, Zeke started to feel a sense of glee filling him. He walked for about an hour before circling back. He got a little lost, but eventually found his way back home. As he approached his door, he paused, pondering for a moment before slowly opening it. If he really did want to go back in, he felt the familiar air inside his home, and in his heart felt a rush of emotions. Then, as he stepped inside, he muttered to himself, "Damn it. I should have stayed out a bit more. In here I feel trapped," he thought to himself. As he returned, the feeling of staying inside started to swarm him like a dark shadow, shading his legs, then his arms, and then his very being. The feelings of tiredness swept over him before he could turn back. In his mind, he grumbled, saying, "Man, if only I had just taken the time to make up my mind and stay a bit longer. Instead of wasting time, I could have surely enjoyed this more." As he came back in, all the worries, all the things that he had let go while walking, enjoying the time, focusing on the rain, focusing on everything around him, except for himself, his feelings all came back. Before that, his conscience told him this. "See, wasn't I right?" "Yeah, you were right," replied Zeke. "You were able to experience something you hadn't felt in a while since you came here. Peace," said his conscience. "True. If I hadn't gone and had let my bad habits take hold of me, I wouldn't have experienced this day. Just by coming back in, the weight of my being is already bringing me back to the things I had propped myself up to do. But I told myself what I believed that I needed. Is that the type of person I am? Someone who wastes opportunities and adds unnecessary burdens to myself?" said Zeke. His conscience said nothing but, "You know who you are deep down." "Yes, indeed. I'm the type of person who lets things pass by, not seizing the opportunities, and that's why it feels as if my mind is paused while time just continues on as it passes over my body. It's funny. My body gets older, but my mind stays stagnant, while my soul just watches. No matter how many books I've read, how much philosophy I delved into, how hard I struggle to work, it all feels so empty and in vain," said Zeke, as he slumped down in his chair looking at the darkness that enveloped the room and his mind. "So, we're predestined to this rough existence," he said, as he looked at the saddle chains around his limbs. "That's the road, the struggle, the pain, these things, they're all free and in abundance. But peace, where is it? Why is it so scarce and finite?" cried Zeke. "It's so funny that I want to cry," he murmured, as he tried to hold off the tears, feeling the weight of his emotions pressing down on him. "Only in the little moments," replied his conscience. "Those tiny instances we overlook or take for granted. Life's full of struggles, but to truly live, you got to embrace them, move, explore, even if it feels tough sometimes." Maybe you're right. Today, I've learned what it means to feel good, even if it's just for a moment. Yes. It only took a few deep breaths to remind myself that I'm alive. With that realization sinking in, Zeke's attention shifted to the stove. He decided to make himself some tea. Standing by the stove, he waited patiently for the water to boil. Lost in his thoughts, the sharp whistle the kettle snapped him back to reality. signaling it was time to pour the water over his tea bag. Once his tea was ready, Zeke carried the warm mug to the nearby window. He opened it, letting in a gentle breeze and the soft light of the day. As he sipped his tea, he watched the steam rise from the cup. Mesmerized by its delicate swirls, with each sip, Zeke felt a sense of calm wash over him. The worries of the day seemed to melt away as he focused on the simple pleasures of drinking tea and enjoying the view outside. It really is just all it takes, he whispered to himself, feeling a newfound sense of peace settle within him. I wish this could last forever, sighed Zeke, taking in the serene moment. Nothing lasts forever, his conscience chimed in. Why spoil the mood, chuckled Zeke. Just stating the truth, his conscience countered. Ignoring the banter, Zeke took another sip of his drink, his gaze wandering into the distance. Lost in the moment, he found solace in the quiet simplicity of the scene before him, allowing him to immerse fully in the present with one breath. Anyway, thank you for watching this short story. Please like and subscribe by Clear Cask.